Hey guys, Beyond here today with a VOD review of a recent match I played on the ladder against Surre SV, who's a very skilled Japanese player, Rage Champion in 2017, and I'm pretty sure he won a major tournament in Shadowverse Worlds earlier this year. So I had a feeling that this would be a good game to record and go through my thoughts over. So without further ado, I'm going to cover this very common matchup between Control Haven versus Artifact Portal. So here we go. Mulligan. So in this mulligan, I just want to make sure I don't eat too much early game damage. So I keep the 2-cost amulet. This will definitely be able to answer his first 2 followers. And just in case I have the 3-cost, so if I need to use it, I can clear his field. And if I don't need to, I can just bank it and use it later in the game to set up a future amulet, right? So we do draw that draw amulet, which is very nice. I don't feel like we need to coin out for Tiger. This is not a matchup where we can meaningfully kind of snowball our lead, generally speaking. So originally I was just going to use these to clear his board as they come out, but because I drew the 5-cost, I make the decision that instead I'm going to go for a huge tempo swing on turn 4 using the coin. So you will see here, so I opt to take the 4 damage here because I know I'm just going to heal it up later on with the Celipher. So I use the engage here and I go to 0. And of course, Surre doesn't blink here, and he just goes for the development. So he wants to continue mixing gears, which is totally normal. And then he passes over to me. So here I have 2 options. I can either go Celipher or I can go Priest plus the Wing Statue. But I opt for Celipher here. I think, the 5/5 stat line with Ward does kind of force him to have specifically the Rukina in order to out this board properly. I guess you can kind of see it coming like the Rukina, but I don't really mind too much because it means we're definitely going to be able to keep a 4/4 on the board. So that is what he has, right? It's pretty telegraphed because he played the first one so easily, which usually shows that you'll have another one. Now, I think obviously Iron Fist Priest on this turn might be okay as well. And instead I went for the Celipher. I think in hindsight, Iron Fist Priest was probably the better play here. I think I would definitely do that. If I could go back, because also it's not efficient healing, right? We're 1 healing inefficient. But I think potentially it's okay to go for Iron Fist Priest save here, because then ultimately kind of like 5/4 is a much better stat line on Evolve than 3/3. Not to mention this hand isn't actually going anywhere. Like we don't really have turns to, actually like where we're required to play other cards, right? So I mean, next turn it could easily be Doze plus Wing or Iron Fist plus Wing. We're not really in a rush, I don't think. Not to mention, like, I'm not certain we can actually go for the John tempo line here. I think we might have to play a bit slower because he managed to clear 2 followers in the previous turn. And now with this, where he's healing for 4 and is double clearing, we have to pretty much completely give up that plan of aggression. So instead we go for the second game plan, which is just to stall him out and then kind of prevent him from winning the game. But usually these games go pretty close. It's quite dependent on if they have Orcus or not, to be honest. And also, my hand is super bricked, so you'll notice I did not use the Super Evo, obviously. I want to save that, so I just used removal plus using the amulet here. But this hand is super cope, like it's not a good hand at all. And then he just goes wide to prevent me from being able to develop anything for free. Of course, I feel like if I had Lapis, I probably would just anyway though. But I don't have it. I don't have much in my hand, to be perfectly honest, unfortunately. Here I think the 2 options are again like Apollo or the Iron Fist Priest. I think here I go for Iron Fist Priest. I think 7, I think it's 8/7 stat line is just does force out kind of certain plays from him. Not to mention, like, this doesn't do anything as Dorcas like later on if he has it. Whereas Apollo potentially can have some kind of combo play. With Olivia as well next turn as well. We can literally play both. I mean, speaking of which, on this turn we could have played Olivia too, but I didn't want to leave anything on the field. We don't really want to be anywhere below 20 if they're allowed to go into the Orcus into Giant Robot Lion. But his hand seems pretty weak as well, which is quite fortunate for us. So not too bad. In fact, this turn, right, it's actually like a bit questionable on his end. Like it's developing, but I feel like his hand is just totally punished if I have Lapis, which unfortunately I do not. But with the way my hand is developed, and it's so late to get a Lapis here, right? But because of the way I've developed the hand, you know, I kind of have to go for the Olivia trade and then one AoE. And this is a turn where I would usually expect them to make some big, like, kind of tempo Evo play, and I'm fairly sure he does. It'll either be Realmia or it'll be, or Orcus. And I think in this case, he actually doesn't do either of the two. Sort of bricking, I think. Both of us are bricking, I believe. Yeah, he's Giga bricking. But even though he's bricking, like you see, like I don't really have that many great options. Like I definitely have to drop Lapis on this turn, but I can't afford to take free chip damage. So here, my only play is to use play point, and then I go 2 cost Evo, destroy the other 2/3. And this is not a great position to be in. It does leave us a little bit vulnerable to stuff like Orcus. And then of course a giant robot as well, right? But not much we can really do about that, unfortunately. I mean, I don't feel good about the situation. I'm just sort of being like, well, game's rough. What can I do? But I think his hand is also quite bad. So fortunately, you know, it's not the most rough thing. The main thing about this matchup, by the way, is that eventually it reaches a point where they threaten lethal with the robot, but because it only does 5 AoE damage, if you have anything on 6 HP or more, they can't really clear over it. And they only have 2 Sip Evos. Like those Sip Evo points are like the most vulnerable, like are the hardest things to deal with in general. Did he misplay? Oh, let me have a look. That trade makes sense. Yeah, this play is a misplay from him, I'm pretty sure. He should oh, it's hard to say, right? No, wait, what? No, it's just straight up a misplay. Yeah. He should trade this into this and then that into that. If it's going to trade with this anyway, then it's definitely misplay. Yeah. He misplayed here. All right, well, I didn't even notice at the time, but yeah, he definitely made a mistake here. And then the other issue is that it also lets me play this as well to heal up. Whereas otherwise, if he had played it the other way around, I might have been forced to go double thunder. No, I can't go double thunder. I need to save it here. I think actually I just have to leave the Lloyd alive, which is not something I want to do. Now, granted, the Lloyd is only 1 extra damage, but I mean, because like obviously I'm going to end up playing John the turn after anyway, but still, definitely a mistake. So provided he has Lloyd here, like he's probably dealing 11 damage, so I should be on 9 HP here. And this is actually a difficult turn, isn't it? I think, what do I do here? Swing face, I'm pretty sure. Like we have 2 options here, right? The first is like we John and then we just swing in. And the second option is we go Olivia, Divine Thunder. I think we opt for Olivia, Divine Thunder here. Mainly because we want to get the card draw, we want to get the healing. Hypothetically, if he didn't make that mistake, we wouldn't have been able to swing 7 to face. So our Lapis would be dead here and he would still be on 20 HP. So he should be on 20 HP here, but yeah. And then maybe that gives him a bit more time to kind of play around everything. Because I think this forces him into a difficult line of play, right? Whereas potentially otherwise he would try and set up. Since I don't have the 7-6 in the field. Which means that he would be able to develop with 6 play points quite easily. Alternatively, he might not even play the 4 play point. No, it is what it is. Here, what does he do? He just passes 1 play point. Seems pretty weak. No, I think he's going to Evo here. And I think he kind of has to. Super Evo. I mean, there's no reason not to, right? It's actually quite awkward for me because the 7 HP stat line is very hard for me to deal with. And again, I should probably be on 7 HP, not 8, because of the earlier mistake he made. And he should be on 20 HP too. Nevertheless, I don't think it makes a big difference, actually. 7 or 8 actually has very little difference between the two. But if you put me to 6, it'll be a big mistake. Because now I think he doesn't actually have a lethal in hand. And then you can see what happens next turn, right? So like this is usually like a game over, like a lethal condition against his deck. It's also why it might not have mattered that you know, the Lloyd was mistakenly traded. Okay, so he goes around me here. Makes sense. Precious Mean for another 3. And so here the only play is Bellringer plus John. And then you can see like this is kind of insane, right? Like it's not really possible for Artifact to clear this without Super Evo. And so he does die here. Now, there's probably an argument that this game was winnable by him if he took a few alternative lines, I think. Potentially if, well, I can't say for sure, but I think maybe if he merged like different artifact choices, like he doesn't really need the healing artifact, I think, but potentially he was just building towards the giant robot again. So it's understandable, but not certain he played this optimally. But yeah, I mean, this is how this matchup often plays out. So artifact player has to plan around like a 2-turn lethal, and then the Haven player needs to go for needs to kind of survive like the turn 10 all in, and you can do that just by having 6 defense wards. So that's the matchup. Hope you enjoyed it. See you guys next time. And make sure to like and subscribe as well.